For many years, the two global superpowers, the United States and China, fought for the control of the last remaining resources on the planet. As the war dragged on, it became evident that the conflict could only end in a nuclear war. In preparation, the US government, or rather a secret cabal within it known as the ENCLAVE, began ordering the construction of multiple secret facilities and military bases. The 23rd of October 2077, the nuclear war became a reality, and the members of the Enclave survived comfortably in their many secret bases across the country. Of all these, the most important one was the oil rig located in the Pacific, off the coast of California, from where they began to develop plans to purge the radioactive ruins of the US, to remove anyone that survived the nuclear holocaust, to later reclaim the country. In the middle of the 23rd century, the Enclave put their plans in motion, quickly establishing different outposts in the west coast, one being an old refinery converted into a vertebrate refueling station that allowed them to carry out missions further inland. This base was called Navarro. Everything seemed to be going according to the Enclave's plans. They were slowly accomplishing their goals without much difficulty while also keeping their existence a secret. But in the end, the most unexpected person defeated them. In the year 2242, a tribal commonly known as the Chosen One managed to locate the oil rig and destroy it, leaving the Enclave without a command center, besides also exposing their existence and plans to exterminate the radiated inhabitants of the continent. Without leadership nor the possibility of reinforcements or contacting other bases, Navarro was left isolated from the rest of the Enclave in the middle of a now hostile California. Most soldiers and their families didn't have much hope of surviving in that situation, so when Colonel Autumn proposed an exodus to the east coast, many happily followed, but a few either chose or were ordered to stay in Navarro. Despite being surrounded by powerful enemies such as the New California Republic and the Brotherhood of Steel, what remained of the Enclave managed to hold on to Navarro for many years, although not without losses, as was the case with Ganon, who fell during one of those missions, forcing his squadmates to return to Navarro without him and break the news of his death to his widow and child. Arcade was very young when his father died, so he never had any memories of him. But even while everyone always told him good things about his dad as he grew up, it didn't soften the tragedy of his loss and deeply affected Arcade in different ways. His mother, along with his father's former squadmates, began realizing Navarro had its days numbered. There was no word from the rest of the Enclave, and their enemies were becoming aware of the precarious situation of the base. After some deliberation, together they decided to take a vertebrate and leave Navarro, which turned out to be the correct decision given that the combined forces of the NCR Army and the Brotherhood of Steel attacked it shortly after. Everyone tried to integrate into wasteland society after leaving the Enclave, and to increase their chances they decided to go different ways. The old squad headed east to a small vertebrate resupply station in Nevada, where they left everything that could mark them as Enclave soldiers, and after each one took a different path. Arcade and his mother, meanwhile, kept heading deeper into NCR territory, where they came across the followers of the Apocalypse. They received them with open arms and offered to give little Arcade an education and his mother a job without asking about their past. Under their tutelage, he discovered his love for learning and began to develop an interest in medicine in particular. Arcade took very seriously the teachings of the followers, both academic as well as ideological. The followers of the Apocalypse mission to create a better world through understanding and collaboration was a noble cause he decided to adhere to, in part due to the past of his family. Even if his father was the good man everyone told him he was still an Enclave soldier and took part in their atrocities, something always present in Arcade's mind. His ties to the Enclave, although a well-kept secret, always made him a bit paranoid. There were many former Enclave members that managed to integrate into the NCR, and both the Republic and the Brotherhood of Steel were aware of this network of fugitives across their territory, forcing them to be constantly on the lookout and move from one place to another to avoid the authorities. Arcade's mother died of natural causes when he was still young, but he wasn't left entirely alone. His father's former squad members kept in contact with Arcade and always supported and looked out for him, although the fear of being caught by the NCR or the Brotherhood meant that said contact was often brief. At least Arcade, having spent all of his adult life with the followers of the Apocalypse, could easily avoid any manhunt by lacking any obvious ties to the Enclave and taking assignments to the fringes of NCR territory. Although with an expansionist republic, the frontier always, one way or another, would eventually end up under complete NCR control, something Arcade very much disliked. The rest of the Enclave remnants also saw themselves affected by the insatiable expansionism of the Republic, forced into the frontier in the Mojave. But despite the increased military presence of the NCR in the region over the years, they managed to keep their past a secret, and time took care of the rest. As decades passed and multiple wars erupted across the American Southwest since the fall of Navarro, the world simply forgot about the existence of the Enclave. Arcade arrived in the Mojave along with the followers and knew the remnants were in the region thanks to the contact they kept over the years. In the beginning, he simply followed his mission to help as much people as possible and try to improve their living standards. But as he learned of the conflict in the Mojave, of the cruelty of Caesar's legion and the treatment of the locals by the NCR army, Arcade began wondering if the remnants could help the people of the Mojave, if they could fight for a legitimately good cause, and in the process find some redemption for the Enclave's actions.